we have people here who will be asking questions of Waith. And at this point, I will start the process of Waith entering in so that he can speak. And Solara will be giving a focusing to help people to focus themselves before Waith enters. So enjoy, and I will see you later.
Put a lead on, but not quite yet. I'm going to give want too much time. Just breathe in a way that's comfortable. Feel your energy relax. See the sparkling white light surround you and all of us in the group. Waith is coming in. Feel the beauty and the peace of this environment. As we have our change of seasons, let us send Mother Earth light and love. See a beautiful sparkling ball of light fill our center of our heart center out into this room. We have a beautiful ball of sparkling white light filled with love and light. Waith Retreat, October 26, 2014. Waith Retreat, October 26, 2014.
Well, the blessings to all of you.
And to you, Waith.
Greetings, greetings. It is a pleasure. Most enjoyable, the energies in this gathering. And we understand that it is a retreat time, so there is also delicious food that has been gathered also. This is very lovely. We are pleased, and we welcome the audience that is watching this broadcast. We are most happy that the technology has finally come to this point so that our words can reach an even larger audience. So then we are beginning this discussion with you all with a few words of, shall we say, encouragement as to the world in which you find yourselves living now. We understand that there is a great deal of stress on most people. There is pervading fear that is in the world, caused by much exaggeration and acceleration of lesson learning. It is the end of an illusion. This is to be expected. However, it does not need to be absorbed into your energy. There are ways that you can deflect that energy, the stress, the fear that comes not only from those outside, but also from within yourselves. Because you're living on the earth plane, and the earth plane is a very, very challenging environment, training ground of great challenge and difficulty. And so we will provide, as time goes on, some tools for you to help in reducing the stress. It is common, it is to be expected. If you were not feeling stress, if you did not feel that you were overwhelmed by the fear, especially that comes from others, then you would be perhaps not enjoying the full benefit of being on the earth plane. But it is lesson learning that this is about, how to bring yourself quickly into a state of balance within. And so, yes, there will be times when you will need to have that fear, to have that stress, so that you will know how to avoid it, how to deal with it, how to get rid of it, if it should come to you in large doses, which it will, of course. So it is a joyful time now. And we are here in a public session to answer your questions, and would then like to hear from you in your questions. And we have been asked to remind you to speak louder than you would normally speak, so that the microphone can pick up your melodious voices. So we would take questions.
I'll start. Hi, Waith.
Well, hello, my love. We are pleased that you are back into the environment. Welcome.
Thank you. My question is really very simple, and it's how is Joe doing?
Ah, yes, indeed. Joe, most delightful energy, who has left the earth plane very, very recently. He actually left sooner than it appeared on the concrete part of the earth plane. His angelic protector entered in and kept the space, if you will, open, so that lessons that needed to be learned could be learned. He, while that was going on, was hovering around you and in his own way comforting you, while at the same time allowing you to feel the emotion that was going on with his family, with the medical community, and all those who are associated with the medical community. There is still more to come where that is concerned, which you anticipate already. You will, of course, handle it in your usual manner and not taking anything abusive from those who might attempt to do it. He is about to go into a contemplative energy field. He will be with you through the time that the celebration of his journey in this life occurs, so that you will feel him, you will feel the feather on your cheek as a sign from him. You may try to brush it away. However, he will be persistent, so that you know that it is not simply some other energy attempting to communicate with you, that it is him. To the point he is saying that it might irritate you. Get away, stop, stop, stop. And you will know that it is him. He will then leave your immediate energy field. He is in very good shape. He tells us that you need to know that all is well, that he did learn what he needed to learn, and that he left when it was time to leave. And which is true for everyone. Whether they learned what they needed to learn is another story. However, they leave when it is time to leave. And once he is out of the reflection mode, he will return in spirit, not in the concrete, but in spirit, to haunt you. He is saying that everything that he left behind in the physical, dispose of. There is no need for it. Keep only his essence. And as we always like to say, all is well in the universe. Indeed. And it is time to move on, to take on new lessons. And there will be. Indeed.
I see them already.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Karina says, hello, puppy. That is a reference that Farina had for you then. So, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Indeed. Other questions? Oh, do not be shy, my loved ones.
I have a personal one.
Yes, indeed.
I don't know if I feel like I have.
You want the world to know?
Well, sure. And I feel like I have a big block to my progress, and sometimes I feel like, do I have enough time to do it?
Indeed.
And I feel like there's this one thing that I need to get at with my tapping so that I can clear it. And I also have 7 amethysts, square cut amethysts that have just been sitting around, and I have set them to the east for 1 full moon cycle. And I would say they have a very strong energy. And I was just wondering, I haven't used them in a long time, if they really are appropriate to be used at this time. Or if they should just be left. I don't know.
Well, we have several questions. This is good. We will take them, perhaps not in the order in which you ask them. However, we will respond to them. And let us respond first to the amethysts. They are, of course, there for a reason. Just as you would have any energy simply hanging out with you. There does not need to be a quote-unquote function or purpose to have a reason why they would be there with you. You do not have to have a specific reason for any energy to be with you, nor do they have to perform a job or a function. Their simply being with you is their function for now. They are resting and know that there is a time that will come soon where you may call upon them. Now, you have blockages, you say. Yes. We all have blockages, including us. There is no energy that does not have blockages. If we had no blockages, then we would be back in the universal consciousness. There would be nothing left to learn. A blockage is that signal that, oh, yes, you are not perfect after all. None of us are perfect. And because of that blockage, that is a forcing of your attention to a particular situation, which may or may not be something to resolve at the moment. It may simply be, yes, this is a blockage. It does not mean that if you do not unblock it, that somehow you are not learning what you are supposed to be learning. Each of you learns what you are meant to learn. And if you do not learn what you came in to learn, that is a learning process in itself. And it does not mean then that you cannot leave the life until you have learned what it is you came in to learn. That is a fallacy that many people buy into, if you would use that jargon. You set a plan before you enter in. You want to learn X, Y, and Z. Well, a plan is a plan. It looks good on paper. Get in and start the life, and then you find out that other people and other energies, animals, minerals, plants, sofas, rugs, all have a plan also. And their plan looks wonderful on paper. And then you all start interacting. And the plans with some might mesh, and with others, they go against the plan completely. And you realize that you have to readjust if you want to interact with any other energy. And so that occurs on a regular basis as you are on the earth plane. In any lifetime, you are planning to redo your plan. So you are always redoing a plan. It is nothing that is static. It is a very dynamic situation, because energy itself is dynamic. It is not at all static. And that means then that you be prepared to live with a blockage. Live with it. When it is time to unblock, that will simply happen. And it is not so much the unblocking of a blockage that is the challenge. It is the challenge of what do you do once you have unblocked it, because then the real lesson comes in. And so we would say, actually, be thankful that you have a blockage, because it is actually giving you a rest. You can rest while your energy is preparing for the unblocking.
I get that.
Yes. It is the soul that unblocks, not the concrete. The concrete cannot unblock. The concrete can only say to the soul, look, we're ready. And the soul will determine whether you're ready at the concrete. You see, remember that the concrete is the puppet to the soul. It is the soul that is in charge. It is all within self. There is nothing external that can help you unblock something. You can only go to external sources to help you to understand the tools that you need. So tapping, as you refer to it, is a very powerful tool. And for your particular situation, it is not time yet,
Okay.
because you have something to learn about not being able to tap away the blockage, that you will then be able to share with those who would ask you, why can't I unblock this thing? I'm tapping my life away here, and nothing is working. You told me that tapping would unblock this. And you can then say, well, it is a tool only. Your soul needs to be ready for that unblocking. And perhaps other smaller situations, other smaller issues, percentages of an issue need to be tapped on, or in other ways worked upon, so that you can move on to a larger chunk, shall we say. You are doing quite fine, my love.
Thank you.
There is nothing to be concerned that you are somehow not on your path. You are not following your path. You are here. You are alive. You are learning. You are on your path. No matter what anyone does, they are on a path. May not be the path they planned, and most likely is not. However, it is a path. It is impossible to not be on a path, and it is impossible not to learn by being on a path that you had not planned to be on. I did not plan to go in that direction. I was studying to be this, and the other thing, and now I'm doing something entirely different, you might say. Well, that was what you were meant to do. So, does that answer your questions?
Yes.
Is there any residual that we did not touch upon?
Time.
Time.
Time. I know.
When is it going to happen, Waith? Yes? When, Waith? Tell me when. I'm patient, I can wait, but tell me when. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I guess I try to be patient and to understand about time, and that, there is no time. But
Except on the earth plane.
But on the earth plane. And there's a way to deal with the earth plane with that understanding about time.
Yes.
That we have discovered in our studies and journey and so on.
Indeed.
About time. So, but I still, is it time yet?
And this is a very common response, and it is a lesson in itself. The respect of time, understanding that time in a linear sense is what you deal with on the earth plane, and time in a non-linear is what everything else deals with. Time as you know it on the earth plane is unique to a training ground. And it is a lesson in patience to deal with time. And remember that patience is a lesson that every energy has to take on. It is not, it is a prerequisite. It is not an elective, if you will, using that jargon. You must take on patience. And patience can be a lesson that you only take on in a lifetime. You cannot handle anything else because it can be so demanding. As you are finding out, you will reach the point of that unblocking when the soul says it is ready. And no matter how much you might fuss about when is it going to happen, it will happen when it happens. And it is better for self to simply release this idea that you have control over it. For you do not.
No.
Your soul is the one that has the control, not you at concrete. However, you do have control because it is your soul. It is just not the time-oriented, linear perspective of the concrete that has that control. And that is perhaps the greatest lesson that an energy human can learn, is that concrete has no control. You only can give feedback to the soul. You say to your soul, all right, soul, let's get together and have a talk. You see, we have given a discussion on how to convene a meeting of the dimensions of self. And that might be something to review, my love. It is available on our website. Yes, that is the correct promotion. Messengers? Yes. Yes. And check that out.
Okay.
And reread that if you have not read it already. For you can bring together the dimensions of yourself in your own meditations and focusings. And say, all right, how am I doing here at concrete? What can you do at your dimension to help the concrete dimension? But remember that while you are at a concrete dimension, you are abstract to another dimension. There is the ceiling and the floor. So what is concrete to you is abstract to another. And what is abstract to one is concrete to another. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, wrap your head around that for a while. Indeed. Anything else about time and its progress?
Are you fishing? You say something?
We simply
I don't know.
We simply want to make certain that your questions have been answered to the degree that you are satisfied.
I am satisfied, yes. Yes.
Not happy, but satisfied. Yes. I understand. Indeed.
Okay.
All right. For now,
I'm learning how to speak out.
that is a lesson.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Bravo.
I'm trying.
This is good. You see, the fact that we have kept taunting you to speak more has
Yeah.
helped you, has it not?
Yes.
Yes, indeed it has. Yes. You can still ask questions as we continue. This is not your one and only opportunity.
Okay. Thank you.
Moving on then. What other questions do we have?
I have a question, Waith.
Yes.
Recently I saw a movie and read a book about consciousness and about sentience and also about the soul, and kind of, I guess the themes were what happens, what makes sentience, where does, at the point that when near-death experience is discussed, at what point, what happens afterward, is the soul involved, or what is the soul? So these are the questions the movie and the book that I looked at recently were kind of inspecting. And my question is, have we or are we ever going to be in a place or a time when, we'll have some technology or device that actually can see, like the soul leaving the body, for example, or something that all these individuals are kicking around trying to come up with some sort of understanding?
Oh, indeed. The earth plane has to have the proof.
Yes.
Concrete proof
At least they have to write a book about it.
that something exists, exactly. And to have photos and diagrams and a step-by-step process.
Yes.
Do this first before this can happen. Yes, indeed. We understand that. And it is the earth plane that has that as a part of its curriculum, if you will. No, The answer is no.
Forget the book deal.
Yes, indeed.
One of those mysteries that'll remain a mystery.
Well, it is a mystery only to those who do not believe,
Yes.
you see, and therein lies the great challenge. How do you get someone to believe? Well, that is the journey. And not everyone is going to believe, nor will they believe to the same degree that you might believe. Even if you have a relatively strong belief in the soul, and while you do not have concrete proof, because we deliberately do not give concrete proof, there would be no fun in it then. There would be nothing to learn. Belief and trust is part of the learning process, you see. And if you have it in a book or a video where, oh, perhaps as Waith is entering in to Mushiba's encasement, we can have a glowing effect. And it shows his energy coming in and overcoming the body. And how does he move her body? And how does he speak through her body? And how can you tell that it's really Waith? What does he look like? And can he superimpose his appearance onto her so that we have proof that there is something else going on here? You see, there would be no fun then. You see, and we would simply be mechanical, if you will, because you would not be learning anything. You would be taking something else as a proof of learning rather than entrusting yourself in your own beliefs. And yes, the scientists are going to continue their journey, and that is fine. That is part of learning, exploring. In the final phase of Atlantis, it is where all the abuse happened, where they were not able to bring concreteness into the soul. However, they were able to manipulate energy to a degree where they could get into the soul dimension of an energy and control it. It is a power that is not happening on this earth plane now, in this illusion, although some do have it. And they are learning, some in a positive way, others not. Small, very small percentage. The challenge of that issue will come in the next illusion. And all the challenges that go with it, all the lesson learning that goes with it. It is a powerful, powerful tool. Angelics are able to do this. We are tested on a regular basis also. Just because we are in the angelics does not mean that we're there forever and we're not tested. We are tested, just as everyone is tested. And those who are able to do hypnosis, for example, are tested in that way because they are able to get into an energy field of another. And while some have that ability to go in and change the memories of a person, and that is a lesson in itself also. Most of them have not reached that level of power where they can actually go into the soul and control the soul. But this is what happened in the final time of Atlantis. Very powerful, and helped to bring closure to that illusion. So therefore, because the illusion had to close, as every illusion does, that abuse had to happen because it was part of the catalyst to help bring that illusion to closure. So even though something can be very abusive and very, very powerful in the hands of some, it is necessary for lesson learning. We would not attempt to stop it. We could. but then we would be reprimanded and taken out to the woodshed, as you might call it, and told that this was not what we were allowed to do. And so it becomes a self-monitoring situation, as well as monitoring within self. So concrete, higher self, soul, all the dimensions of self have a stake in this to bring that monitoring in. And if that monitoring does not occur and there is control given to another energy, then the lesson learning occurs. Now, those who you are reading about and watching and saying, oh, we want proof. Well, you know, the universe likes to play. And it can be fun sometimes to project something that appears to be a solution to their question. Oh, yes. Look how powerful I am. I have a mechanism that can show what your energy field looks like. Well, no. There are those instruments we know that are on the plane, and we understand cost quite a bit of money. And who benefits from that? Those who would buy them and those who would charge others to see what their energy looks like. Well, no, that does not happen. No instrument can show you what another's energy looks like. It may give you the appearance of energy. However, it is the game that is played with the universe in charge.
Well, even if they could see something like the good in photography, it changes continuously.
Oh, yes.
Every second, everything changes.
Yes,
You know, people go home with what they have gotten, and they think that's it. But, you know, and so it's very confusing actually for the people because they're working towards something and it might not be okay because it has changed.
Indeed.
And if someone actually found a way to show someone proof, people still would not believe it.
That is true.
That's it.
That is a very good point, yes.
But some do. And, you know, just the opposite. And
Well,
they hold
yes.
on to it and would actually prevent them from moving forward.
And so you have both
Both
situations
extremes.
occurring, both extremes. No matter how much you show someone, they still will not believe it, or they will believe it so much that it alters their journey in some way, and they have misinformation. And they're going to have misinformation no matter what if they use something external to themselves to try and determine who they are and what their journey is about. Showing someone's energy field doesn't say what the journey is about. It says in that instant, there's this color. Oh, the color purple. Oh, that must mean you're very spiritual. And they walk away. And remember that the person operating the machine has a control. They are learning a lesson also. So, oh, their energy can control the machine. And so they see someone who they think they can get extra money from and control. And they say, well, your energy color now, that appears to be yellow. And yellow means, and they make up something, and that means that you have to keep coming back. And we will tell you how to do this, rather than the self journey that it needs to be. This is true, however, this situation in all the illusions where humans exist. And it's part of lesson learning. It is power. It is manipulation, learning to use your abilities in a way that will help rather than hinder.
It relates actually to every tool. that you need to be in touch with self and know, okay, the tool is happening right now, but then it will change, and have always an open mind, and talk to self, and determine when the tool doesn't work and need to change. It will be there also the extremes. It's everything what we do.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And also, a tool is only as good as you are able to use it. We have given many, many, many tools in our time speaking through Mushiva. And with each one, we say to you, this is something to guide you. It is not definitive. And it may or may not work for you. You may find that this particular tool is not of benefit. You find something else. There is nothing external to self that is so definitive that it cures you, it heals you, it does everything that you want it to do. That does not exist. It may help you, it may guide you. However, the true healing only happens within. No one else can heal you. They can help you. They can give you the tools. They may be able to bring a sense of healing on a temporary basis. However, true healing only occurs when the soul says, the lesson has been learned. The healing has occurred. And it will only be a percentage of healing. Remember, 100% does not happen in one fell swoop. You take on percentages in every lifetime. And so you may achieve 1/10 of 1% of healing in a lifetime. And that is all that you wanted to heal even a physical ailment. However, you still have 99.9% left to learn in other lifetimes. However, it appears that you have healed in a lifetime. And that is fine. If that gives you that sense of confidence, that is fine. However, understand that 100% healing only occurs the instant you are ready to return to the one. It is in an instant that you are 100% in everything that you took on to learn. And so as long as you are outside of the one, you still have things to learn. You still have things to be healed. You may be 99% healed in a particular lesson and will appear to others that you are perfect now. Oh, you have learned everything. Oh, you are a healer. You can help me to heal. You can only help another with the tools for healing. Even though you may appear to have learned everything, you have not. You have not. And those tools that are attempting to be found are part of the path, part of lesson learning. And it gains in its ability to help people along their path. Does that answer your question?
Yes, I just wanted to ask one more thing about the soul manipulation.
Yes.
For those individuals that were contemplating, those activities, I know there's lesson learning, of course, behind it all, but was there any sort of positive intent, or was it about gaining power and abuse from day one for these situations?
Is the people who are attempting to create these?
Well, the people who, back to the Atlantean.
Oh,
scenario.
the Atlantean.
Well, oftentimes for noble causes, people will attempt to do something.
Yes.
And in this case, if you're messing around with someone's soul, I'm just thinking myself, what good, again, lessons learned, but were they clearly attempting abuse, or was there some positive notion to say, well, maybe I can re-rig this and you're healed, or, was there any good intentions on these
Yes
individuals?
And no.
Okay, so.
It's situational. Think of it as you would your own life and those around you. Wouldn't it be wonderful if you could go into a person who's very close to you and you have learned how to connect within yourself. And you would love it if someone you love very dearly could also do what you do. And wouldn't it be wonderful if you could just go in to that energy field and help that person? And that is a good intention. However, it is a misguided good intention, because you know also that you cannot do that with another person. They have to learn on their own. However, there is that power that is there to manipulate others. And so you do it for the first time, and it's a good intention, and you go in and you help that person who you love. And then you realize, well, that person really could do better. And so you know that the first time you did this, it worked. So you try it again, and you go in and you manipulate a little bit more, because according to you, that person still isn't as good as you are, or could be better than they are. They haven't learned enough. So I'm going to go in and help them learn better. Then it rears its ugly head. And this is what happened in Atlantis. And this is the natural progression of it, by the way. And so it is all about lesson learning. You go in, and perhaps after the first attempt, and you saw that you could do it, you backed away and said, oh no, this is not something that I can do it. However, this is not something that I should be doing. This is abusive, and this is imposition. And you back away, knowing you have the ability to do that, and instead say, I will use that ability within myself and not with others. Maybe that first time, however, you did not learn, and you go back in, and then you go back in again and again. This is what happened in Atlantis, till they realized, oh, we can do this with anyone. And almost as if the God complex came into being. We can do this, and let's do it. And let's not just do it with those who we want to help improve. Let us just do it because we can. And that's how it evolved. So you can see how some in Atlantis moved forward, and it became that abusive, continual component, and others realized they could do it, backed away from it.
Wisdom.
Wisdom, yes. Some of those in Atlantis who did not have that wisdom, some have learned by coming into other lifetimes. Others have not, and they have chosen to come in at this time in the illusion, where the last time that they were there on the earth plane was in Atlantis, when they were abusing this power. And they are back now, and they have not learned. And you will meet people who are being tested. They have a lot of testing going on. You may meet some of them. Some of them may actually be those who are trying out this technique that you discussed, because while the energy is different in this illusion than it was in the time of Atlantis, it is not as conducive to that type of abuse as it was in Atlantis. It is still there. And so the soul memory of what they did in Atlantis propels them to do the same thing in this illusion. However, the energy is different now, and it depresses that ability. Nonetheless, it is still there. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Anything else that swirling around relating to this?
No, that's makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Waith.
Indeed. Yes, my love.
those that had that ability and were going into someone else's soul to manipulate it, on the receiving end, no one can create in your reality without your permission. So the soul that was being manipulated must have given some kind of permission, right?
Yes and no. Yes, I know. I see by the look on your face. We will explain. We will explain, indeed. Yes, technically, permission has to be given. However, when it comes to this type of power, they can override that particular component. Permission does not have to be given. And so the soul can be overridden. And that type of power can indeed take over the soul. It is a lesson for the soul. Remember that the soul is not perfect. The soul is simply a higher level controlling component of self. It is outside of the one. It has a higher, it has an overview of the life that other dimensions within self are having. However, it is not perfect. It too has lessons to learn. And therefore, having the permission component overridden by a power is part of the lesson learning, so that the strength of soul can come in. If the soul, remember, the soul is not all powerful and all strong. It has weaknesses. It only gains in its strength as the dimensions of self gain in its strength. So all the dimensions of self are strengthening. And as those strengthenings occur, it goes into the soul. And the soul then is only as strong as all the dimensions of self are in combination, you see. And thus, it needs to develop its own strength. As the soul strengthens, it becomes more able to fight back against any powerful energy that would try to override it. You see, at any level of self, in any dimension of self, there can be a power that comes in and overrides your permission. This is why we keep saying continuously that you must surround yourself with light all the time. Do not take it for granted. For as you grow in your own strength, larger parts of darkness and those who are powerful, who would want to manipulate you, come to you. And if you are protecting yourself at a lower level of protection, of strength, then the new protection that you need will not be there. You see? The same thing applies to the soul. So as your soul strengthens, it too needs to protect itself. However, its protection is only as deep as the dimensions of self are. You see, this is what many people do not understand. Your soul is only as strong as your total self is strong. And it gains in its strength as all the dimensions of self gain in strength. You see? So you have a powerful energy who comes to you and sees that you have vulnerabilities. You have spots within you that are open to being manipulated. And they go in and they start manipulating. They may not be able to completely override. However, they can manipulate. And this is where being able to manage your own energy fluidity comes into play. If you are consciously attempting to strengthen and protect yourself, then that attempt within yourself will keep you strong from those energies who would be attempting to infiltrate you. If you are very cavalier about protecting yourself and say, I don't need to do that. Now the universe will protect me. My soul will protect me. No. No to all of that. No. Only self protects self in conjunction with all the other dimensions of self. And this is why it is so important to understand that you have infinite numbers. It is unlimited, the number of dimensions within self. We could not give a number. That would be too concrete. We have had people ask us, well, how many dimensions are there? No, we cannot tell you that. It differs with each individual, depends on many things, and it is forever evolving, you see. Understand that. You may not be able to connect with all the dimensions of self. That is part of the journey. That is part of the lesson learning. Some are able to do it in this lifetime, who you may know, and that is because they have worked very hard in other lifetimes to do it. It is hard work. The search for self is hard work. It is not given to anyone. It is something only you can do. And the only way to learn is to do it and realize, oh, that did not work. Must try something else. You see? So yes, all are susceptible to that type of manipulation. Now that you are terrified,
I'm not terrified.
we joke. Does that address your concern and your question, my love?
Yes, and when you were talking about healing or percentages, that also applies to every dimension of self.
Yes, it does. Yes. Because, you see, every dimension of self has different things that it is working on to bring totality to the soul. So concrete dimension is not responsible for everything. The soul actually has allocated this lesson for this dimension, this lesson for another dimension, this group of lessons for this other dimension. It all comes together, however, because the dimension that is currently in the concrete, that is now speaking with us, is not always the dimension that comes into the earth plane. It may take turns, you see, depending on what it is they need to learn. And if it needs to be learned concretely on the earth plane or in some other training ground. And you can have other dimensions of self say, okay, concrete, it's time for us to infuse into the concreteness to give you some added strength and perspective. So you can have infusions of energy from within self into the concrete. That happens very frequently, sometimes without even realizing it, that it is occurring. You suddenly have a stronger sense of what you are doing because other parts of self have infused and merged in, you see.
That would be nice. Having that perspective.
Sometimes. Sometimes that added strength that comes in means added responsibility and concrete.
True.
Yes. Now it becomes even more challenging. Now that we have a higher level of self that has come in, or a greater strength of dimension has come in, oh, oh, oh.
Well, you said perspective, and that's helpful. Sometimes you get so concrete that you lose the greater perspective.
Yes, indeed. Yes. Yes, my love.
I'm not sure how to ask this question. We were talking about different impositions and energy work, and I had an experience with an energy packet and creating an energy packet and placing it. Totally just spontaneous. Can you explain that in more detail or some enlightenment?
Explaining the energy packet.
What that is, I don't know how to ask the question. The use, the purpose.
So you gathered together. Let us make sure our frames of reference are coinciding here. We have in the past given reference to an energy pocket. Do you recall that from years ago?
Yes, this was a packet.
This-
I actually folded it
It folded.
in an origami kind of a thing.
Ah, indeed.
And I placed it.
Oh yes, that is a very real situation, and you can indeed create from within your own self. You have dimensions of self that have the ability to package, if you will, a part of their energy. You cannot take it from another.
It seemed like it came from another.
It did not. It did not. Let us,
I understand.
it could, but it did not. When we go to the situation with abuse and the manipulation of energy, yes, there are energies who can take an energy from another and use it either against that person or against someone else. It is not done to benefit someone. It is a power that is abused and goes into that arena that we were just talking about. What happened with you was not that. You gathered energy from yourself, other dimensions of yourself, that rather than have an infusion of energy, you know better, by the way, to bring in higher levels of self because of the extra responsibility. You were not ready for it. So you knew at that point that you did not want to bring in other parts of self to give you strength. Instead, you had bits of other parts of your energy that could help you as you needed it in sort of what you would call spot. Okay, you need it right now for this. And it's like spot cleaning. You don't need everything fixed. You just need a part of self and those around you fixed. And that's what you did. You were not abusive. It was all within yourself. You were using it to help yourself as well as another. And that was allowed by the other so that you could do that. So it was instead of you imposing your energy onto another, you did a spot cleaning. That's as best as we could describe it. You did.
Thank you. That was similar what I wanted to ask. When we had attacked here in the concrete, physically attacked, all the dimension of self have the residue of that as well. Can we then, we go within self, find dimensions of self that are at that moment not as much affected and stronger, and pull from there when the strength, even when the soul has been affected strongly by it. But we have so many dimensions of self that there might be some of them that could see or separate themselves from that attack and see at that point even more than the soul at that point.
Yes.
The attack was directly more in the concrete going right to the soul. But there might be so many others within self that can then jump in and help all of us,
Yes.
including the soul.
Yes, yes to all of that.
And that is, I think, a little similar to,
Yes, it is.
yeah, that was my train of thought too.
Yes. Remember that the soul has the overview, the macro, if you will. The dimensions of self have the micro. It's right there, and that the dimensions of self give feedback to the soul, and so oftentimes the feedback is not given to the soul immediately because the dimension is working on whatever it is that either has attacked or whatever lesson learning is going on, you see. So yes, you can then, if you are able to connect with other dimensions of self, then yes, you can go into self and call a meeting, if you will, of some of your dimensions. It does not have to be with all of them, just those who are affected or those who need to be part of it, and determine what is going to be done, how an attack may be protected against, or how to fend off an attack. And so yes, you can do that. You can create a little packet, if you will. So yes.
Timing.
Does that bring up, does that answer your concerns?
Yeah, even when the soul has been blinded a little bit.
Yes. Yes.
Even if it's the control, but it could be also blinded so that other dimension becomes stronger, and that again goes back to the soul.
Yes.
To take the blindfolds off.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Yes. Indeed. Well, our timekeeper has indicated that it is the time to end this marvelous discussion. We are very pleased that you all were here, and hope that you enjoy the remainder of the retreat time. We will see you all again, whether you like it or not. In spirit, indeed. So, my loved ones, we send to you all now the very highest of the white light, from the very highest of the kingdom of Emilius. Farewell.
Thank you.
Thank you.